Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective. In this video, I'll be doing my review of WWE Bash In Berlin. So in the first match, we had Cody Rhodes successfully defend the undisputed WWE Championship against Kevin Owens in a match that was decent, but nothing really much to write home about. I didn't really feel as if this match was pay-per-view worthy almost by the end of it. It felt as if they were kind of holding back almost. There was no real big moments. I think there was a few, but nothing that sticks out in the mind to me 2 days later, which is quite surprising knowing how good KO and Cody are. I thought that, this match felt more like a match that could happen on a special SmackDown instead of a pay-per-view. But yeah, it's just and it kind of had that feeling throughout. It was I've got this big pay-per-view match. It's KO's first title match in, I think 2 years, maybe, or I think it was Royal Rumble when he faced Roman. It's the last world title match he had. You thought they'd make more of it, and instead it was a bad build followed by a pretty mediocre match, which was very disappointing just out of the two of them. Yeah, one thing that definitely took away from the match was the title never felt like it was in jeopardy. It never at one point felt like Kevin Owens was going to get a surprise win here. He suggested that he might turn heel. He did kick out he kicked out Cody's knee, which wasn't hurt, but then as soon as Cody went to the top rope, it suddenly hurt, something like he got an arrow to the knee out of nowhere or something like that. I thought it was ridiculous, that moment where Cody went to the top rope to do a he did a Cody cutter, but it's a more impactful one because it came from the top rope. But instantly tweaked his knee that he said was fine, but no, it's not fine, even though it's been fine the whole match. It was very weird. It reminded me a lot of when Nakamura just completely targeted Rollins' back, in the build, and then when it got to the match, he barely went for the back. I thought it was very bizarre. But yeah, I think, as I said, overall the match was pretty mediocre. I'm glad that Cody retained. The thing that annoyed me was Kevin Owens didn't turn heel. I assumed that was where we were going with this, and then they would have a rematch at Bad Blood maybe. We didn't get that at all. I'm hoping that we get it on SmackDown instead on Friday, but it wouldn't shock me if we didn't do it there either. And I think Solo said he's got next on Cody's title, which I really don't want, but it seems like that's going to be where we're going for Bad Blood, which is not great in my opinion, because their match at SummerSlam was mid as well. But yeah, really disappointed that Owens didn't turn heel. That was I thought it was we're going to do this whole match, maybe we're going to hold back a bit like they seem to, and then we get this turn, and then they beat the crap out of each other at Bad Blood, and it doesn't seem to be the case, which is disappointing. Kevin Owens is someone who I definitely prefer as a heel rather than a babyface, just because he's got so much more freedom then. This babyface stuff is not very good. He's similar to Miz. It's it doesn't really fit well with him from my point of view. But yeah, match pretty mediocre. I'm glad that Cody retained as far as just a championship reign overall. He was never going to lose it before Bad Blood in his hometown. It's just a shame that the match didn't live up to any kind of hype, and KO didn't turn heel either. After that, we had the Women's Tag Team Championship match where we saw the Unholy Union of Alba Fire and Nyla Dawn lose the Tag Team Championships to Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. I felt like this match was very one-sided from more or less the beginning. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair started with the upper hand. They did kind of lose it a little bit, but not a lot. It never felt as if Fire and Dawn even had a chance in this one. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of from the beginning was just Jade and Bianca are winning this one, and we're gonna go from there. They didn't. Alba and Dawn, they just didn't seem to get that impactful offense in that would have put them on the ropes. Quite the opposite to how Cody and Owens, the title never felt in jeopardy. In this one, it felt all the way in jeopardy, but in a way that was negative, because it didn't feel like the champions even had a chance. They had the match on SmackDown a few weeks ago where they got the DQ and they retained. It was very clear here that wasn't going to be the case and that they were going to lose. But yeah, I feel like Unholy Union had a decent run. They did get some pay-per-view matches out of it as well, and they had some. They did they were fighting champions, is what I'm trying to say. They defended a triple threat match on Raw, defended them on SmackDown against Jade and Bianca, and I feel like that's only going to improve with Bianca and Jade as champions. I feel like they get defended even more because they're big baby faces and probably the most dominant women's tag team we've ever had. So Yeah, I can't see them losing anytime soon. I can imagine it'll be around probably December to January time. They'll probably drop them in a turn of some point. I assume this will be the title reign that eventually turns into the feud between Cargill and Belair for WrestleMania. Who turns heel? I'm not sure. I'd want it to be Bianca Belair, but Jade Cargill has such a different aura as a heel, as we saw in AEW, that it makes sense that Jade Cargill will probably turn, but we will see. And as I said, I think they're going to have another decent reign. They're going to defend the titles pretty often and hopefully keep them coming onto pay-per-views. It's amazing that we're now in a time where the men's tag titles are never on pay-per-view and the women's are. You know, they are building that prestige up again, once again, which is very good from Triple H and something that we wanted for quite a while out of these tag team titles. But it's just a shame that like the division is so one-sided towards Cargill and Belair, and it's also keeping them out of the women's world title division. Therefore, challenges for Nia Jax are actually few and far between. So as much as elevating the tag titles has been good, it is taken away from the main event scene of the main title. So I'm not sure. It's a kind of like a blessing and a curse type thing, having Bianca and Jade as a tag team and them being champions as well. But yeah, as I said, I expect to have a good reign until one of them will eventually turn, probably in the lead up to WrestleMania. Following that, we had CM Punk defeating Drew McIntyre in a strap match, in a match that was better than I expected it was going to be. I was very worried about this being a strap match just because of the four corners thing. It annoys the hell out of me, and plus, like, when it comes to not having pinfalls and submissions in matches, they tend to like be let down a bit. Like, I can't think of a strap match that was good that had the four corners rules in. Obviously, by far the best strap match I saw was Ricky Starks and Bryan Danielson in AEW last year. But again, that was pinfall and submission. Like, it makes perfect sense to have it that way. The whole point of wrestling is pinfall and submission, apart from like cage matches or something like that. But yeah, it just when he announced the strap match, I was like, oh cool, this should be decent. You know, we're looking at an MJF type thing here, just nowhere near as good as the dog collar. But then at the same time, it's, you know, it's a strap match, and then he went, oh, and it's you have to hit all four corners. I was like, oh fuck, why are we doing it this way? But it wasn't too bad. I enjoyed it for the most part. I thought it was brutal. The whips were bad. The only thing I probably would have had was a bit more blood. I think Punk bled a little bit, but not a lot. I would have probably had them both piss blood completely, but I understand why they don't do that either. I called before the match even started to my brother that they would do the spot where Drew would carry Punk and Punk would hit the corner as Drew did, and they did that exact thing until like I think till Drew got to the fourth one, and then they kind of stopped it. The rules for momentum changing to turn the lights off made no sense at all, because it depends what your opinion of momentum changing is. At one point, you know, they both had 3 lights, but then they were going back and forth, and then it was like, well, whoever gets the advantage keeps the momentum. No, they just turn the lights off for both. It didn't make any sense. But yeah, I thought, as I said, for the most part, it was really good. But Punk at the end annoyed the hell out of me. He dragged on the finish of that match so much. Like, he literally was like, he got 2 corners. He hit a GTS, got 2 corners. Fair enough. Hits another GTS to make sure he stays down. Awesome. Hits a 3rd corner. Like, stops. Like, I understand he's like selling in a way, and I get that to a point, but this was like unbelievable selling, like to a point where he's kind of just stood there looking like an idiot. Then he GTS Drew again, which I would have then called, like, if you'd gone via the rest of the match, would have been a loss of momentum, but they didn't call that. They hit another GTS and then hit the 4th corner eventually. But it took like a good 5 to 10 minutes between the 3rd corner hit and the 4th corner hit, which really pissed me off. Like, I thought it almost ruined the match for me, to be fair. It didn't make any sense. Like, you would think if he wants to win, he would be more like, especially with like Drew McIntyre, arguably one of the best guys on the roster right now. Like, you thought he'd be more assertive and be like, I want to get this shit done quickly, so Drew doesn't get up and stop him from doing it. But that just simply wasn't the case. But the main thing is, Punk got his bracelet back. Thank God. Hopefully, the 3rd section of this feud, which we are going to get, I know Punk said that he wants to move away from Drew McIntyre now, but he won't. Won't be about the bracelet. It'll be about just the feud and be who the better man is. And if I was Punk, I'd probably go on Amazon. I'd buy a small safe. They don't cost much. I've got one, for God's sake. I'd put that bracelet in it whenever you're going to get physical in the ring, because Drew will go and fucking steal that thing back, and I really don't want that to happen again. Now he's got the bracelet back, let's just leave it in the back again. I don't want to see it. If he's going to get physical anyway. If he's just cutting a promo, fine. you can have it on. But yeah, if he knows he's going to get into a brawl with somebody, just fucking take it off, man, and put it in your pocket or something. Put it in a safe. Leave it in the fucking locker room. I don't know. Just, I don't want to see that bracelet again, pretty much. And the fact that Punk kissed it after it was in Drew McIntyre's shorts is very funny. But yeah, I feel like this is inevitably going to go to Bad Blood, where we are clearly getting a Hell in a Cell match. I think like this seems to be setting up that way perfectly. Luckily, Punk didn't get injured between here and Hell in a Cell, so as much as I know he probably doesn't want to do it, I think it's going to go that way, and it's going to be a great match. And hopefully just let them go, let them bleed, let them do what the fuck they want. But I'm worried they're not going to, and it's not going to be as good. But yeah, I think overall this was a decent match. It wasn't the best match of the night in my opinion. I think it had its issues, mainly because of the stipulation, but I digress. And yeah, hopefully the Hell in a Cell match kind of is a good feud ender for these two, and then we can kind of move on. I know Punk has his eyes on the world title, probably so does Drew probably, so I expect that maybe Punk will win it first and then Drew will win it from Punk. But as I said, this match was decent. Didn't like the fact it was a strap match, but it was better than I expected, which was always a positive. Following that, we had the mixed tag team match between Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest taking on Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. And for me, this was probably match of the night. I know that seems very controversial probably with Orton and Gunther and Punk and McIntyre on this card, but I genuinely really enjoyed this match. I thought it was very good. Even when I rewatched it, I enjoyed it more than the rest of the matches. I thought that Rhea and Damian dominated for the majority of the match, which kind of didn't help Liv's case. Like Dominic, I can kind of see, you know, Priest dominating Dom makes perfect sense as far as like, well, he was the world champion, now he's not. He's coming to this small feud before concentrating on Balor, I assume. But even Rhea was like dominating Liv, which I didn't see was great, as Liv is the world champion going in. I think out of context, you probably would have thought that Liv wasn't even a champion, let alone the world champion and like the face of Raw's Women's division. I would have seen it as like, you know, just two ladies going at it, helping their friends, but it wasn't that case. It was because Liv was actually the world champion, and I don't know, it just didn't make her look good in defeat. I find it highly offensive, the fact that Rhea attacked Dom. You know, as a man, I just find it just ridiculous that a woman would beat up a man. Like, Dom didn't even deserve it. Like, Dom didn't do anything wrong to Rhea, right? He was, essentially, Dom has got Stockholm Syndrome because he fell in love with his capturer, which was, of course, Liv Morgan, who was seducing him every week. And you know what? And Rhea just beats him up, puts her, like, she tried to rape him. Like, you know, like, she put him between her legs. Like, she tried to force him back into this relationship, and I think it's ridiculous. But, you know, after I got over that, and, you know, I had to pause it and kind of go for a walk and just reassess my fandom of Rhea Ripley after seeing these heinous crimes. I got back into the match and I thought it was very good. I thought that the Crucifix Bomb that Liv did, I thought was fantastic. I thought that she should be using that way more often, on not like just in general as a finish. I thought it was really cool and kind of an out of nowhere thing. But yeah, as I said, it was action packed throughout. Even when the Judgment Day got involved, they were very quickly rendered defenseless and didn't really impact the match massively, other than Balor giving orders to Liv to jump on Rhea. That was really the main thing they did. But other than that, it was decent. And, you know, as I said, it was very surprising to me that I would give this match of the night. But, you know, as far as high octane, action packed, it didn't really seem to slow down. The match flew by really well. The pacing was good. The chemistry between all four of the people in it was really good. I thought they smashed it. So yeah, for me, great thing. I think that now we do Rhea and Liv at Bad Blood, especially as Rhea pinned Liv for the win. Priest will probably concentrate more on Balor now, and Dominic will kind of, I don't want to say fade back into the Judgment Day, but he might just, you know, take a step back for a bit and just concentrate on helping Liv defeat Rhea rather than feuding with Priest. But yeah, I said, good match, very enjoyable. And finally, in the main event, we had Gunther defeat Randy Orton to retain the World Heavyweight Championship in a match that, I'm not going to lie, I didn't find this one particularly enjoyable. Like, I didn't really like this one much. I thought that it was very slow and melodic, but not in like a good Roman Reigns way. It was kind of like very stagnated. I didn't really like it very much. And the entrances didn't help. Like, Gunther, bam, out there as he does, gets out there, does his thing, holds the title up, bam. Randy Orton, his entrance was like 10 minutes long. Like, no entrance needs to be that long. Roman's, when he was doing it for that long, at least it had aura and kind of a feel about it being that long. Randy Orton at times was just walking around the ring while people sang his song, and I understand that people singing the song is like a really good part of the show, and for the fans it's really cool. I think like entrances overall took like 15 minutes between Randy Orton's music hitting to start and the bell ringing for the match, and that's ridiculous amount of time. Like, and there's just no need for Randy Orton to. I think his song started replaying like 2 or 3 times at least. I thought it was just way too long. It's something that Randy Orton's been doing more often, and I really do not like it. It annoys the hell out of me. The finish itself though was really cool. I like the fact that Orton napped instead of tapped. I think it makes Gunther look really good. It doesn't make Randy look weak in defeat either, so it helps out Randy a lot. And yeah, I think it's a really good thing to like have visually for like when we're talking about Gunther's reign, to have him making Randy Orton pass out. I think that's really cool. And just to have like as a title defense type thing, to say that your first title defense was defeating the legend of that is Randy Orton, I think that's really cool. But yeah, for me, it's kind of, as I said, it kind of fell flat for me. It's not the case that it didn't click or anything like that. I just didn't like the way the match went, the style it chose, all that kind of stuff. I feel like Gunther compares well with someone who's like a lot lighter on their feet, someone who likes to take risks like a high flyer or a technician like an Ilya Dragunov or something like that. That we know, obviously, those two absolutely gel like fucking peanut butter and jelly, even though I'm not American. But it's the first thing that came to mind. But you know what I mean, though, it's that I just feel like this didn't quite live up to how it should have gone, in my opinion. I expected a lot more. I don't know whether it's a case of Randy's age, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't want to put everything on that because, you know, he is a fucking specimen right now, so, you know. But no, for me, I said it wasn't my kind of thing. I didn't enjoy it that much, but that's just my personal opinion. I do look forward to seeing who Gunther's got next, as I'm not sure who it's going to be. I'm hoping they do like some kind of #1 contenders battle royal, or someone just comes out and challenges him. Obviously, we're doing the Intercontinental Championship tournament right now, so they can't do a tournament. But I look forward to seeing who Gunther's got next, and I'm curious to see what Randy Orton does next, as I feel like probably the next time we see him on pay-per-view will either be maybe Survivor Series, if not definitely the Royal Rumble. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what Gunther has next, but I worry for Randy Orton a little bit because I'm not sure what is next for him. So those are my thoughts and opinions on Bash in Berlin 2024. Overall, as a show, I'm not a fan, I'm not gonna lie. It kind of didn't feel like a pay-per-view happened afterwards. I went on and my brother went out and watched Match of the Day and whatever. It didn't feel as if a pay-per-view had just happened. Like, we kind of get that feel every time that like something big had happened, or, you know, we're talking about it a lot afterwards, and it just wasn't the case with this one. And it kind of seems to be that case after SummerSlam anyway. Last year we had Payback and Fastlane where it kind of fell flat for a bit and then picked back up towards Survivor Series. I don't think that's going to be the whole case for this year. I feel like Bad Blood's going to be a great pay-per-view, especially if we do get the return of Hell in a Cell, as long as it's not Dread. Triple H, don't get rid of it. Get rid of that fucking red cell. That's the first thing you need to do. But as far as Bash in Berlin goes, I said it had a very mediocre feel to it. It kind of felt like WWE forgot about it almost. Like, they were concentrating so much on Bad Blood after the announcement that Bash in Berlin kind of fell by the wayside, which is a shame, but it doesn't shock me either, as again, as I said, after SummerSlam tends to be a lower point for WWE, kind of where things are kind of building more towards Survivor Series, and that's the Survivor Series is Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, which are kind of the big two events of the year. So yeah, I didn't enjoy it massively. Definitely was nowhere near probably one of the worst pay-per-views of the year, with all due respect. But yeah, I look forward to Bad Blood in a month or just over a month, I think. But yeah, said, you know, do put your opinions of the show down in the comments, what your favourite match was, what you feel might have improved the show a little bit. And yeah, I will ask you to like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you later.